Hi, I'm Whitney Funk. I just had a small foot crush injury when something fell on my foot and my body overreacted to it. I went into fight and flight mode and never came out, which causes inflammation, and that's called RSD, or reflex sympathetic dystrophy, which is a chronic neurological pain condition. It's a neurological inflammatory disease, and it's considered the most painful condition that you can have, and I had a very severe case. It affected every aspect of my life. I was no longer able to play with my kids or go on dates with my husband. I could not cook or clean or work. I couldn't do ministry anymore. I was practically just stuck in bed rest all the time. It was extremely painful to try to get up at all. If I ever did get out, it was mainly to go to doctors, sometimes 6 to 9 times a week, and my whole world revolved around the pain. Pain with RSD is, there are multiple types of pain that you're feeling all at once. The hallmark symptom would be constant burning. It can either feel like you're standing barefoot in the snow and you're frostbitten, or it could feel like you're literally on fire. On top of that, you also have stabbing pains, you have shooting pains. It can feel like you're being electrocuted, pins and needles, like you're being jabbed with sharp objects, like your bones are being crushed, and it can feel like wild animals are trying to rip your flesh off. I was on quite the cocktail of medications. I would be on up to 12 different medications at a time, some of them very high doses, and the side effects were about as hard to live with as the pain that they weren't taking away. I was dizzy, I would fall into walls, I couldn't stand up without help, I couldn't drive anymore, of course. I was very depressed, I had extreme fatigue, and one of the worst side effects was that I was highly irritable. And so I couldn't be myself, and that was very hard for my children. They thought I was mad at them, and I had absolutely no control over it. And I had hallucinations, I had night terrors. I even gained over 40 pounds in 1 month just from one medication that I was on. And eventually even my system started to shut down and it became very dangerous. There was a time when I didn't know if I would survive this. Everything just kept going from bad to worse, and it had moved into both my legs and feet, both my arms and hands. It was in my abdomen. It felt like perpetual transition labor. My backs of my arms and back felt like I had thousands of razor cuts on it. It had moved into my face and the lower half of my left eye, pins and needles in my eye. You know, I started having chest pains. If I ever lowered my medications, I could barely breathe. Small breaths felt like being stabbed, and I started feeling like I was being electrocuted in my lower back all the time. So I didn't, I did think that it was a losing battle. My condition actually had become so bad that I was pretty much completely disabled. There were times that I couldn't get up my stairs. My husband or my oldest son would have to lift me and carry me. I had a cane that I wore out, had to get another one, wore that one out, and I even had a reclining wheelchair. It is a constant pain. The many medications I was on and some of the other natural remedies I tried to incorporate would help for a while. They could bring the pain levels down. Nothing took the pain away. But it just continued to progress until by evening I would be screaming and crying in tears. I was trying to hide from my children so that they wouldn't have to see it. And I would cover my face with a pillow so they wouldn't hear me screaming. I know that my children knew what I was going through, and it was very hard to, you know, as time went on, I actually became, pain became my new normalcy. And I tried to assure them that even though it still hurt just as bad as it did from day one, that I was better able to handle it, but they were not able to handle seeing me go through that. You know, an RSD patient becomes very good at trying to hide their pain, trying to mask it. We're not always screaming and crying out in the ER level pain that we're in. But I know that they could tell I was in pain, and they could see me shaking. And I ended up developing secondary conditions. I developed dystonia, and I would have my clonic jerks that would just throw me to the side. I had uncontrollable shaking, both from the RSD and my medications. I sometimes sounded like a stroke victim. I couldn't even think of words, couldn't come up with words. And so I know that they definitely noticed that something was wrong with Mom. My husband, you know, Kevin he had to step in and do everything. He was not only working and working extra overtime to help pay for the hundreds of dollars a month that we were paying for medications, even with insurance, but he was also cleaning, he was cooking, he was helping the kids with homework and with their social issues and all the things they were going through. He is being an emotional support for both me and the children, and he lost any sense of me as his wife. He didn't see anything recognizable in me anymore of the woman that he married. It had gotten to the point where I didn't see any way to do all the things that I felt led to do in life. I didn't see how I was going to minister. I didn't see how I could be a mom or a wife. I actually felt, I didn't feel like a mom or a wife anymore. I felt like a burden. And it was like they had lost me, and yet they still had to deal with me and be my caretaker. And I started to have thoughts that they'd be better off without me, that if the Lord let me go home, that I should just tell them to let me go. And in fact, before my first set of treatments that I went to at the UCLA Med Plaza, when my kids were hugging me at the airport in my wheelchair as I left, and they were crying because I was going to be gone for a week. And I remembered thinking if something didn't change, they could be crying at my funeral. So I definitely wanted to get better. My faith is what kept me going. I couldn't even pray to get through, you know, a day. I had to pray to get through the next 5 minutes. And I know that God carried me through it. I tried all types of conventional and natural treatments. Chiropractic would bring my pain levels down as well as the medications would, but just temporarily. Epsom salt baths. But I tried the conventional as well. I had 28 spinal nerve blocks, including 21 sympathetic spinal nerve blocks, which were very painful. And I also went to the UCLA Med Plaza in California with one of the top 2 renowned specialists for RSD in the world twice to have ketamine infusions done to try to reboot my brain, try to reset the odometer, so to speak, and disrupt the pain signals and bring it back under control. The treatments were surprisingly effective. They had worked better than anything else I had tried conventionally. And they gave me the longest lasting relief, for sure. The problem was that both times I had the treatments done, within 2 to 2.5 months, my pain came skyrocketing back, and I actually ended up becoming worse than I was before. The second set of infusions I had, it was an emergency trip down there because one of my systems was shutting down. After my second set of infusions, during that 2-month window, I was blessed that my husband's 40th birthday fell during that time when I was doing better, and I wanted to do something nice for him because he had taken care of me, and I threw him a surprise birthday party. We had Aaron and Julie Martin and Willie and Nan Martin came to the party. And we stood up there, and I took a microphone, and I explained to everyone why my husband had basically fallen off the face of the earth for 3.5 years and taking care of me and my family. And Aaron decided to go ahead and contact Dr. Dennis Harris, who is the medical director of Livinity. And he is a brilliant doctor. I decided to go ahead and try his recommendations and tried the all-natural products. I still remember the day when I was sitting there, and I know that God said to me that I would have to find a natural way to strengthen my body because there are so many people in chronic pain. And so when Livinity came along, and I knew that their products were all natural and they had a line of pain relief, I was very excited to give it a try. By the time I went in the next week to my doctor's office visit, instead of getting new prescriptions, I actually asked them, how can I safely wean off of all of my prescription medications, because I did see a difference that quickly. By my next month's appointment, I had already weaned off of all but 2 of my medications, but I have actually been off of all prescriptions now for over 9 months. The pain products that Dr. Harris has formulated with his team, they contain ingredients that studies will show are very, very good at reducing inflammation, for example, and inflammation is the cause of all pain. Most people have heard of EPA omega-3s. They have something called ETA, or Eterol, and it is more than 100 times more effective at lowering inflammation than any known ingredient on earth. I was getting off medications. Normally I would have the worst side effects and anxiety and pain flare-ups, but I would just double my supplements for a couple of days, and I would take some sleep formula, and I didn't have to reach for my Xanax or my clonazepam or my Valium anymore. One of the pain products is called their Livinity Pain Relief Gel, and I call it a miracle in a bottle. I have been to the emergency room sometimes more than once in a week, and I would tell them I don't want narcotics. They don't take care of my pain. But once I had the pain gel, I could rub that on during high pain days, and the pain would be gone within seconds or minutes, and so it was wonderful. One of the most wonderful things about trying Livinity products, I thank God for them every day. They're such a blessing and such an answer to prayer, because I'm actually in remission now. I'm not only off of medications, I'm free. I'm free to live my life, to live all the plans that God has for me. I'm a mom again. I'm a wife again. I'm involved in ministry again. I'm trying to help people who are going through desperate situations and minister the love of Christ. And I'm even I've had opportunities to speak and share my story, and I'm writing a book about it. I'm me again. I have my life back, and it's even better than ever before. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning. Of course, I get to play with my kids. I have the family time again. I have wonderful dates with my husband. I'm very, very blessed. I will even go and work out sometimes for over 2 hours just because I can, just because I'm so excited that I can. I had gained over 60 pounds going through the medical condition, and with the help of Live and Slim Plus and being off of all my prescriptions with the help of the products, I've already lost about 50 of those pounds. The products have helped me so much that I don't have a cane anymore. I'm out of my wheelchair, and I can even wear heels. The lessons I learned going through that, the experiences I had, I wouldn't trade for the world. And I've found out what it's like for him to carry me through the fire and his faithfulness. And I'm very blessed. And I really pray that my story will give hope to others who are suffering.